Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi is in Japan for a two-day visit. The focus of Tokyo visit is primarily the quadrilateral security dialogue, that is, the Quad Summit. Other than that, the Indian leader will be attending a host of events, including bilateral talks with leaders of Quad nations. And earlier, the Indian Prime Minister arrived at Tokyo's Haneda Airport, where he was received by the Indian diaspora. The Prime Minister also interacted with the community there, not just with Indians present, but also the Japanese people who had gathered to welcome the Indian leader.
तो कहाँ से सीख लिया तुमने हिंदी? हैं? हैं? बहुत अच्छा जानते हो।
On the first day of his two-day Tokyo visit, Prime Minister Modi met with business community in Tokyo. He met Chairman of NEC Corporation, Nobuhiro Endo. NEC is a Japanese information technology and electronics company. Prime Minister appreciated NEC's role in undersea optical fiber cable link projects in India. He also highlighted investment opportunities under production-linked incentive schemes. In a short while from now, the Indian Prime Minister will also attend the launch of the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework by US President Joe Biden. There will be a business roundtable after that as well. Prime Minister Modi will later attend diplomatic and community interactions. For the latest on this and more, we are now getting this report from WION's managing editor, Palki Sharma Upadhyay. Let's just listen in.
It's Monday morning in Tokyo and the Japanese capital is all set for an action-packed day. The Indian delegation landed around 8 a.m. local time, and I'm sure it was a welcome relief for them in terms of weather, at least. From the heat of Delhi, they've come to a city where the weather forecast for the day is anywhere between 25 to 15 degrees. So pleasant and sunny. And of course, the Prime Minister got a very warm welcome at the airport with the Indian community there. There are about 40,000 odd Indians who live in Japan. Most of them are in Tokyo, at least half of them are in Tokyo. And they accorded a warm welcome to him. Later in the day, there'll be a community event in Tokyo, in the heart of the capital. And in the nation's biggest selling newspaper, this is the Japan Times. I have today's copy with me. And 2 full pages dedicated to the Indian Prime Minister's special visit. This is what it says here, Indian Prime Minister's visit special. And this is a full write-up by the Indian Ambassador to Japan, Sanjay Kumar Verma. And there are some ads welcoming the Prime Minister. Mr. Verma, of course, recounting of how this relationship has gone from strength to strength. And then we have a write-up by Mr. Hira. He's the chairman of the India Commerce and Industry Association Japan, and he has spoken about Prime Minister Modi's method. The Prime Minister himself has also penned a write-up in a local newspaper, and I have a soft copy with me, and he basically talks about his relationship with Japan when he was the Chief Minister of Gujarat, how he found the Japanese to be very committed to the cause of development and how he built that relationship. And then he goes on to talk about the Indo-Pacific, about the Quad. And he says, and I'm quoting here, the two democracies, they're strategically located in the Indo-Pacific region and can be important pillars of a stable and secure region. So the messaging is all there in the right direction. He's going to be meeting a lot of business leaders today because Japanese investment into India remains one of the top priorities of this government, and this has been the bedrock of the relationship. They had the same discussion in the month of March when the Japanese Prime Minister visited New Delhi, and now here in Tokyo. So multiple engagements lined up through the day, and this is going to be a very exciting, like I said, action-packed day, and we'll be bringing you all the very latest from the Japanese capital.
Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi is in Japan for a two-day visit. The focus of the Tokyo visit is, of course, primarily the quadrilateral security dialogue, that is the Quad Summit. Other than that, the Indian leader will also be attending a host of events, including bilateral talks with leaders of other Quad member nations. And for the latest on all this and more, let's just go across to WION's managing editor, Palki Sharma Upadhyay, who's joining us live right now. Thank you so much for joining us, Palki. What will be Indian Prime Minister Modi's focus on in Tokyo and ahead of the big Quad Summit? He has just met the business leaders as well.
Yes, he's holding meetings with various business leaders in Tokyo through the day. Like we've been saying in our broadcasts, this is a 40-hour-long visit in which Prime Minister Modi is expected to have 23 engagements. So this is quite an action-packed trip. And today's the highlight for today would be meetings with business leaders and, of course, engaging with the Indian community, which started from the word go when he landed this morning in Tokyo. It was early morning around 8 a.m. Local time, and he was greeted by Indians at the airport, and then 2 p.m. onwards the engagements began. He's just held a meeting with the NEC chairman and discussed ways, I'm told, to contribute to smart cities in India. NEC also has plans to contribute to India in the field of education, and the chairman has said that the Prime Minister of India has a strong intention to build and enhance capabilities. This is a very important aspect of India's engagement with Japan because Japanese investments, like I've been saying, form the bedrock of this relationship. And many years back, when the Indian Prime Minister came to power first, he had that famous visit to Kyoto, and they signed what is called the Kyoto-Kashi Pact, building smart cities in India with the help of Japanese collaborators. So that has been the focus of this government for many years now, and this visit is expected to take that further. So through the day today, through the afternoon, there are many such meetings lined up, and in the evening there is an engagement with the Indian diaspora where the Indian Prime Minister is expected to address them, and I'm sure it will be a colourful event, as it always is. In any part of the world that Prime Minister Modi goes, this has become a hallmark of his outreach to Indians the world over.
Right, absolutely. Now let's also talk about, of course, the Quad Summit. As far as dealing with China is concerned, how do you assess what steps the Quad do you think is likely to take to ensure free and open Indo-Pacific? In fact, a short while ago, we also heard US President say that the United States is fully committed to Japan's defense.
And that's again a very important statement that has come from the US President, because many have expressed doubts about how far the US is prepared to go to defend its strategic allies like Japan, like Taiwan. In fact, the former Japanese Prime Minister recently wrote, Shinzo Abe wrote in an opinion piece that he's not sure that if Taiwan were to be attacked by China, the US will come to its aid militarily, and that sent a very strong message. So for Joe Biden to say that that the US remains committed to defending Japan is in fact making a very strong statement. On its part, the Japanese government, especially led by the current ruling party, has been at the forefront of pushing Japan away from its pacifist constitution, and they've brought in and they've pushed many challenges, many changes, and they've also decided to increase Japan's defense budget. It will now be 2% of the GDP, bringing Japan on par with other NATO countries. So that's a step forward as Japan tries to shed its post-World War sort of strategic posture and reframe its defense priorities given the changing equations. Remember, over the weekend, the Japanese government also lodged a formal protest against Chinese construction activity in the East China Sea. So China remains a strong point of concern. The Japanese Prime Minister also gave an interview, and he strongly condemned Chinese actions in the region. So today's meeting with US President Joe Biden only further reaffirms Japan's intention to deal with the Chinese threat, and to have the US President say that the American commitment remains firm is a boost for the Prime Minister here.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Palki, for joining us with all the updates from Tokyo. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.